Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. To date is November 3rd, 2022. And we're going to have a look at the tricky DIXIE, the tricky US dollar currency index. Alright. Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is November 3rd, I keep muting myself. I'm sorry. We're going to have a look at the tricky DIXIE. I don't know if I muted myself and then unmuted myself, so I'm just repeating myself. Apologies if I've already given the intro. I pressed the mute button by accident, and then I looked up and I saw that it was on. In any case, we're going to look at the DXY. We're going to look at Bitcoin dominance. We're going to look at Bitcoin altcoins. We're going to look at altcoins that already started moving. This move is not just imminent, it's already here. We're going to look at certain assets that have started moving double digits, 50, 60, 70% already. And I'm not talking about, 300 market cap, position assets. I'm talking about top 50 assets that have already started moving big time, okay? So this is the last leg of, I think any upside retest of this resistance that the DXY has been in for quite some time. So that's very important. We're obviously also going to have a quick look at the SPX and anything else you guys want to look at. So yeah, let's get into it. Hopefully you're having a great day. It's nice and sunny here in the DC metro area. All right, let's start off with the DXY. All right, high time frame. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm still seeing this bearish construction, which is a triple top or a head and shoulders, right? Colloquially called a head and shoulders. My momentum indicator is telling me, it's game over, okay? My momentum indicator was topped out over here, but it's even more topped out over here. So basically you're double topping and you're creating you're creating bearish divergence, right? You're looking at these two tops, right? These two highs, you're making a lower low, and here obviously you're making a higher high. So that's really strong bearish divergence, which leads you to believe, or it's likely, it's indicating that, it's going to make a big drop in that direction very soon, because you strong confirmed bearish divergence. Okay, so that's on the higher time frames, the 4 hourly time frame. You can clearly see that we've got this, and actually this changes our count, right? Because we were saying on the channel that this was an unlikely but possible 5-wave move followed by 3 waves up. Okay, and I was saying I didn't like it a ton, but maybe it is. Maybe it's a leading diagonal. Okay, and this move up here to this region just confirmed that that was false, confirmed that this is still in correction, still in your consolidation reversal channel right here, okay, that you've been in ever since September, right? So you put in your first, initial break of structure, okay, and this is clearly another counter. So that's the counter to this big A. Okay, so we're just going to count it just like we count all of our corrective waves here. So big A, big B, this is your secondary break, right? Small a, you would call it. And this is clearly a 3-wave move right here. Okay, so this would complete our 2 degrees of consolidation reversal. However, wouldn't be surprised if you get another pivot like this. Okay, and this is true as well, but in the opposite direction in crypto, right? In Bitcoin, in other assets like that, you can see the same pattern but flipped on its head. Okay, so essentially you've been, people who are bullish on the dollar, people who are bullish on the DIXIE, the DXY, US dollar currency index, be very careful, because you've been pretty much stuck at this level and trying to make a higher high, but you've actually managed to make nothing but lower lows, for the course of almost a month, right? It's no, more than a month, right? It's we're in November, so more than a month. You've been trying and trying and trying, and these rejections typically do come in these patterns where you get three tops. Okay, that's why we have the head and shoulders pattern as a reversal pattern, bearish pattern, and the inverse head and shoulders as the reversal pattern, but for the bullish reversal. Okay, so that's the DIXIE. It's been tricky, right? But these are essentially all corrective waves. And again, we come back to our reading 2 degrees of AB basing and just a bunch of corrective waves. Okay, that would enable us to properly read this, because these are not, in no way, shape, or form have we gotten any impulsive waves. And that would make sense, right? Because had we gotten impulsive waves here, you would have seen it in crypto, right? You would have seen the impulse in Bitcoin. You would have seen the impulse in most assets. We have some impulse in some assets, but it's not, sort of a widely observed phenomenon throughout the crypto market. But here you see why, yeah? So let's go on to even smaller time frames. Let's go on the hourly time frame, and let's really zoom into this right here. Okay, guys, I stepped in a little late today and I fumbled the intro, but hopefully you guys are still riding with me. Marie says, damn, I'm tempted to 100x long BCH. I 85x'd something. I 85x, I'll just tell you. I don't know why I'm trying to be cagey about it. I 85x'd Bitcoin some weeks ago. You can 185x. You could do, it doesn't matter the leverage. What's important is the risk management. And that does take quite a bit of skill. I think that's some of the hardest stuff to do. Not to do it, to do in a non-lucky way. And I think the trick with using high leverage, and okay, look, I'll say this. You can either use, so I have 2 types of trades that I do. They're kind of like the same. Either I use high leverage and a little bit of capital, or I use a lot of bit of capital and low leverage. I have 2. If you play those 2 trades, okay, you have 2 different, let's say you have 2 trades. One high leverage and, a little bit of capital. One low leverage, a lot of bit of capital. Those are essentially, in terms of risk management, the same risk profile. So either way, you can get really wrecked, and it's really, risky to do both if you don't do them correctly, right? So I have my trades that I have high leverage, low capital, and then I have my I've done both, but I have those, and then I have medium capital, medium to low leverage, medium capital, low leverage. I have a bunch of those, okay, and those are relatively easier to manage. The trick is playing with your margins, because if you're wrong, what can you do? As long as you got the bigger picture figured out, like generally speaking, where the market's going, and you're with the trend, you're with the prevailing trend or the trend that's getting set up, all you got to do to protect your position is add to your margin. So that will also what's the word I'm looking for? Modulate your risk profile. And so that shit gets technical. I've never gone into like the technicality of setting up a trade on this channel. Maybe I have in passing, but like, come to think of it, that's a lot of what I do in playing defense, in protecting my trades. Like, because I'm not trading. I haven't been trading. You know, I have 1 or 2 trades that I add here and there, but by and large, most of the work that I do and that I have been doing for the past few months has been modulating the margin, removing margin from this and adding margin to that, and so on and so forth, reducing the risk profile. And it's a little different in different exchanges. So in Femex, it's different than what I do in KuCoin, right? You have to know your instrument. So in KuCoin, I use the margin. In Femex, I use just futures. I don't use futures in KuCoin. And those are kind of similar, but they're not. And that is something I use to structure my trade. So, long story short, 100x, totally possible. But how do you execute such a trade really quickly? I would say the key to executing those trades is finding a great support level. After you read your chart, your market, finding a great support level, and then hiding your stops or your liquidation point a little below that, okay? And then finding it on a high time frame, like you go to your really high time frame, okay? Maybe Bitcoin's not the best example here. Let's give another example. Let's go back here. Let's say like and still, even with all of this said, I mean, it's still there's no certainty, yeah. But you're just looking for a high probability trade. What's a good one? I think Dodo was okay. Okay, let's go on the 4-hourly. I just wanna illustrate something really quickly. Okay, yeah. So here's the 170-day consolidation reversal channel, okay? That Dodo's been in, okay? And I'm in this trade. And let's say you wanted 100x, something like this. First and foremost, and I'm fine, going down this segue because this is interesting. This is really interesting, actually. This is most of what I do, but I don't talk about this because you would have to, for me to go into this kind of detail, it doesn't work unless you're doing it. And it's like, in addition to what I do on a day-to-day basis with this channel, like talking about the technicalities, add to that a layer of complexity, the actual trade execution. So it's going a little deeper than I usually do, okay? But like, guys, if you're bored by this or whatever, just let me know. If this is interesting to you, I can talk about it some more. But for instance, I wouldn't leverage trade this because it's too volatile. It's too wicky. It's too wicky, okay? I wouldn't leverage trade this, although I at least high leverage trade. I low leverage trade this, no problem, okay? And obviously, this is a clear support level, been support for 150, 60 days. You hide your stops, your liquidation points down here if you like, and that's kind of a no-brain trade, okay? I'm a little bit more, like, I'll probably hide my stops liquidation point. Oh, no, I did. I hit them down here, okay? So this is something I don't worry about, and, I haven't worried about for months, okay? And just let that play out. It's going to tag this, going to, do whatever, going to go up, whatever, okay? That's an easy kind of trade. So I just wanted to show you that to show you, like, where the obvious levels to hide your stops and liquidations if you're doing margin trading. But again, why am I 85xing Bitcoin? Because it's Bitcoin. Okay, it's Bitcoin. It's a lot less volatile. Okay, it moves. Like, let me show you an example of something that's volatile. This Ravane is volatile. Okay, Dodo was volatile. All those high, those low market cap, low cap altcoins, they're like number like 500 or 400 or even 300 on coin market cap. They move just real volatile, okay? And that's easy to get wicked out. Although, on a high time frame, this is an obvious trade as well, right? So, you hide your stops, your liquidations, if you're margin trading this, for instance, down here, yeah. But then, if you're all the way down here, that's a low leverage trade. So, high leverage trade, I would go into something that is less. If you're going high leverage, it's okay to trade something like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, like something that is low market, or sorry, a high market cap, that's less volatile. Even though it moves less, it's going to have less gains because you're 85 to 100xing it. It doesn't matter. You don't really care if it 2x's or 3x's because you're already leveraging it quite a bit, okay? So that's the first thing. You have to pick the right thing. Bitcoin Cash, just having a quick look here. Bitcoin Cash, why can't I never find, fuck. They always mess with the name. It always confuses me. Here, let's just pick a futures, perpetual futures, right? Like, okay, let's get Binance perp futures chart. I guess it's okay. It's not that wiki. It's not that wiki. It's fine. It's possible, okay? But for something like this, I would, if I could identify, I only high leverage trade something where I can identify clear support on a smaller time frame. So obviously it's really easy to go on a large time frame, zoom out, look at 170 days of price action and say, oh yeah, definitely, like, just hide under all this and you'll be good. But it doesn't work. If you're using like a little bit of money, there's no way that you're able to hide your stops all the way down here. Your margin's less because you're using that little bit of money. Do you understand? So because you're using a little bit of money and a high leverage, you got to get more precise. You have to be a sniper. This is why it's more difficult. So for instance, for Bitcoin Cash, if I'm counting this as a 5-wave move, okay, and this is a 3-wave move, and I'm not saying this is, I'm just saying if, and I'm like, sometimes I'll read a chart and I'm like, I'm never 100%, but short of being 100%, it's a sure thing. Like, I trust my read. And I'm like, I can hide my stops behind the phi ratio. A lot of my trades like that, I'll hide behind the phi ratio and then I just let it ride. Do you see? That would be where I like, okay, I'm going to go balls to the wall 85 to 100x. Right? And I'm going to hide it behind the phi ratio. And I kind of did that with Bitcoin. And I did that when we were still in the 19s. So that trade's already good. And I'm just going to leave it for a few months. And I 85x'd a small amount of money. But it ends up being a high 5-figure trade. Right? This is where the skill in trading comes in. And like, you show up every day and we're doing all this work all the time. And people are like, dude, you're doing all this work. Like, what do you do for, you go on YouTube? Like, do you make money on YouTube? I don't make any money off YouTube. The money is made slowly. The money is made in accumulating confidence and skills and knowledge about trading and reading and charting. And eventually you hit one of those, high 5-figure trades because you put a little bit of money in and you've 85 to 100x'd it, and then you just leave it. You're smart enough and you're wise, or you're clear-headed enough because you've read the market on the high time frame. There are few traders, I'll tell you this, few traders that I've seen that can both read high and low time frames. It seems to be that at least the public traders, the people who like publicize their work on YouTube, on Twitter, whatever, they're either scalping or swinging. Nobody does both. And if they're swinging, they're only swinging spot. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, very few traders that I know of are leverage trading high time frames. Like, people are taking profit. Like, imagine taking profits at the bottom of a market, macro market. But they're like, oh, I got 100x. Like, dude, I got 300, 400, 500% gains on some of my coins. I'm not thinking of touching them, right? That Bitcoin, for instance, is up 350%. I'm not touching it. Because what am I going to do with a few $1,000s? You know what I mean? Like, you got to see bigger. And if you read the market on a high time frame, you know that position, once you got it and you're safe, you just don't touch it, right? But a lot of traders, they're happy with making a few $1,000s here and there, or a few 100% gains. and then they have to try and do it again. But it's not easy, especially once the market starts moving. I guarantee you, it's not easy to get those positions. So yeah, that's what I'll say about going 100x long. It's a technique thing. It's like anything, like any skill that you cultivate. You can do it. You just got to know what you're doing. Use a little bit of money, high leverage, and then you have to be able to read confidently the market that you're longing, that you're shorting or longing or trading, whatever. And once you read it, you have to be comfortable. If you take that L and you get stopped out, is it going to ruin you, or can you live to fight another day? Like, all those things have to be answered, and my little bit of money may not be your little bit of money, right? You may have a lot more than me, or I may have a lot more than you. Do you understand? Everything's relative. You have to make it make sense for you. So if I lose 5 figures, I'm like, fuck, that happens, and I can still live to fight another day, but that does hurt. But other traders may lose 5 figures. That may be just like nothing. And for you, that may just be 3 figures. Do you understand? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just got to be right for you. But what you don't want to do at the bottom of a market is just take L after L after L. Because if you really are patient and you're calm and you just let this market play out, you will soon see that some of these assets that you didn't even have to leverage trade are going to 100, 200, 300x for you just in a few months. But you weren't patient enough, and you blew, a few hundred, a few thousand, or a few tens of thousands at the bottom of a market out of greed. So it's tough. It's really tough. There's no easy answer. Some people like to give like, oh, do this, don't do that. No, it really depends. Trading is an art. It is a high art, and it has to be personalized completely to your temperament, your lifestyle. I can't even trade short, time frames because I don't care to, because I like to sleep unperturbed. As it is, even my high time frame trades I'm looking at first thing when I wake up, okay? But it's not the same level of, I don't get the Bybit sweats, as people call them. I'm not stressed, it's not worth it. And I'm not losing left and right because I'm taking a high, my risk profile isn't as big. Anyway, I could talk about trading forever, but that's just my 2 cents on what Maurice said. Anyway, back to this DXY. So we are expecting this to turn around any moment now. Okay, so on the higher time frames, let's see, the daily time frame, seems like we are in the overbought territory, which is great. The weekly, obviously, it's crossed bearish, and it's been bearish for quite some time. The monthly, we already know, is crossed bearish, and it's been overbought forever. So whenever it does start going down, like seriously, it's gonna go down nonstop for months at a time. Okay, and our time frame is, for this bull market, maybe 5-6 months, something like that. So back to the smaller time frames. You can see that on the 4-hourly time frame, we're overbought as well for the DXY, and you're forming this reversal pattern. You can see, these, every time you see a candle body and then a wick, that is a bearish candle. You see 3 of those in a row, that you're forming on a smaller time frame a consolidation reversal breakdown, okay, a distribution pattern, okay? So yeah, just expect that to go on a little bit, and then finally that breakdown come in impulse, okay? So that's the DXY. We're looking good in the DXY. It has been tricky, and we'll acknowledge that. And it's okay. There's no shame in misreading corrective price action. Okay, what you don't want to do is misread the entire trend, okay? we were right on the trend, and that's all that matters, right? The fact that we recognize this as being 5 waves up and then a subsequent consolidation reversal is the larger read that you don't want to mess up, okay? Because if you mess that up and we're looking to pump, then you get smoked on all your positions that you've been accumulating. Like it looks ugly. But if your larger time frame read is right and you just don't get the fact that, okay, this is, you didn't know how this AB basing was going to look, how long it was going to take, all that stuff, that's okay. That's okay. Because generally speaking, you're still in this channel. You're still doing the same stuff. Just as long as eventually what happens is you break down from this channel and you don't make a higher high. That's the read that most concerns us. And then basically, as a trader, when you're in risk on assets and you're betting on this to go down and your risk on assets to go up, your equities, crypto, your stocks to go up, what you want to do is you just manage your trades. Every time this happens, right, it goes against you. You manage your trades. You make sure you have enough margin to survive and wait until they pump free and clear of your stops and your liquidation points. So that's basically what I've been doing. And up until now, I've been fortunate enough, it's kind of a combination of luck and skill and luck, to get free and clear. Because little by little, the market does matriculate up and out, right? People expect, oh, we haven't done anything yet, right? We have. It just hasn't been like, jaw-dropping pump like what we got in Dogecoin. You've been slowly matriculating up, okay? So even though you haven't pumped, let's say you've gotten in a trade down here, you should be okay, okay? You should be okay because now you're at another level. You're in a complex correction, intra-wave correction, looking to continue to the upside. So you should be free and clear of any type of threatening price action to the downside in Bitcoin, for instance, okay? So, yeah, let's segue into Bitcoin. Guys, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. I never say that during the live stream, but I should try and remember to. Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Let's see. Okay, so we're still in this pattern. Nothing's changed, okay? We still have this being an impulsive pattern, a leading diagonal, okay? That's our read. A wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and a complex wave 4. And that complex wave 4, we read as a double 3, okay? A WXY. And that has seemingly completed, okay? Yeah, that's my favorite read. I like that more than anything. Okay, so WXY finished, and then a subsequent or following that double 3, right? That WXY complex correction, we get our 2 degrees of AB basing. Okay, so let's zoom in and see. And what's important in terms of just support and resistance, you broke that resistance, and now you're forming this, what seems to be kind of like a cup and handle. You see that? Obviously, we can get more specific using Elliott wave analysis, but essentially, just the pattern analysis to this is a cup and handle. And you're holding support. There's nothing bearish about this. It just takes longer than people think or people want for it to take. And that's okay because we know wave 4 corrections typically take their time, but it shouldn't bother you because, one, if you can read this price action, wave 4 correction, take as long as you want. It's okay. Waves of the same degree are equal or comparable in time and in price, right? But one of those caveats is wave 4 sometimes takes a lot longer than wave 2. So whatever, right? Just as long as it eventually ends and maintains some semblance of support right, then you're fine for continuation. So that's what we're looking at here. Going down on the hourly time frame, we can really expect a move any moment now, because just counting this in terms of Elliott wave theory, we have what's likely that initial break of structure here. That was, so you had this ending diagonal of 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, this clearly is a move that breaks this, you know, and I've put this wedge in dotted lines. It breaks the trend, okay, and that is clearly a corrective wave. That's your initial break of structure, or an A wave, okay? Now, question is, where's the counter to that A wave? Okay, what's the counter wave? I think this is your B wave, this whole thing, okay? And that's tricky, okay, because yesterday I was saying, oh, this is the B wave. But again, these B waves, these counter corrections, or even these, well, especially the counter corrections or the B waves, they're tough to gauge in terms of time and price and size and all that stuff. Like, they're not always the same size as the A wave, your initial break of structure. And, you know, there's no rhyme or reason sometimes. The only thing we know is, for it to be a valid counter correction, they have to respect the phi ratio of, whoops, where'd that go? Okay, let's try that again. So we're pulling the Fibonacci retracement tool from the bottom to the top, and this is the only thing that we know B waves should respect. The phi ratio, the 1,618 of the A wave, okay? So whatever the B wave is, it's only a counter to the initial break of structure if it stays within that 1,618. If it breaks that 1,618, then it's a continuation of a trend, an impulsive trend, and you misread that initial break of structure. That initial break of structure was probably an intra-wave correction, and you're still in that trend. Does that make sense? You're still in that trend. So that's the only thing. Other than that, we have no clue how wide or how big the B wave is going to be. And I think this was the entirety of our B waves. A 3-wave move down here, a 3-wave move here, and a 3-wave move, or a 5-wave move down here. And that was the volatility from yesterday, from the Fed meeting and all that stuff. But technically speaking, there's nothing. What's beautiful about technical analysis, technically speaking, there's nothing outside of the ordinary from that move. There's nothing like strange or, you know, fishy, or like, you know, for people who don't know how to read chart or don't have the tools and skills and wherewithal, you know, they say, oh, it's a scam, oh my god, you know, the Fed and whatever. Like, there's always an excuse, you know, people who lose and people who, you know, they're used to victimization. They figure out narratives and tropes to continue perpetuating that narrative, as to why they keep losing and as to why they're marginalized. Instead of, you know, you may very well be marginalized. You may very well be at a disadvantage, but, you know, after a while, like, you know, where's your focus? Is it on the fact that you're downtrodden, or is it, right, trying to do something for against it, right? Instead of complaining about it, just learn how to read the chart. But yeah, that, you know, you can either put the effort in reading the chart and learning how to read the chart, or in saying that the system is completely rigged and there's no way you can do this. But, you know, that's the beautiful thing about this technical analysis. It's, I don't know why this shit is just so regular. It just looks like you can't really rig it at scale. You know, I know people would beg to differ, but, you know, for a lot of these markets, I've seen so many patterns that occur time and time again. I don't know that they can be rigged at scale. And what I mean by that is when they're freely traded. Okay, if they're freely traded, they're going to resort to these natural patterns, these natural rhythms that we're able to read. So again, in Bitcoin, I'm seeing this initial break of structure, this counter wave. Okay, so that's a big A, big B. And I think what you have here is you got a small A, a small B, and then a pivot probably. Okay, but you're basically right there. You're right there. You're really, really close. And at the end of the day, again, all that price action, all that activity essentially looks like a nice, let's go on the higher time frame. It looks like a nice cup and handle. Okay, you can even say it's a larger cup and handle like this. Okay, that's you know, textbook cup and handle. So you know, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. And you know, thus far, that read that we've had on Bitcoin for what, a couple weeks now has been has held. It's held up. And yeah, what you're going to see is, you know, given that it's a bull market, given that it's an alt season, it's a crypto bull market. So what does that mean? That means that your altcoins are going to beat out Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to do well, obviously, but altcoins are going to do even better. Okay, so you're going to see altcoins up like Dodo much more than Bitcoin, right? This is just today. Telcoin up more than Bitcoin, right? This is just today. This is not counting what you've seen in previous days and weeks. But there are a lot of assets that have been outperforming Bitcoin for weeks now, not days, weeks. There was something else I wanted to show you. Let's see. Okay, MB wants to look at a few things. BTC, LTC, and ETH. Let's give that a second. I'm gonna look at that in a bit. But first, let's continue with the show and talk about the main things. People were saying, "Oh my God, the traditional markets have been puking and blah blah blah." Like, you want to look at price structure over price. Like, this price structure, this market structure is still bullish. Why? Because you just retested support. You're retesting support, and that is what you want to see. Actually, if you go up and then you come down, especially if you come down beneath the 618 and you don't break the 618, that is an easy read right there for bullish continuation. But I mean, for people who don't know how to read charts, you know, that's like the worst thing in the world when you come down at all. Like, you know, nothing goes in a straight line, but especially if you go up and you retrace anywhere between the 382 and the 618, you know, as a trader, as a chartist, the next likely move is a continuation to the upside, okay? Because that can either be a zigzag, a 535 construction, or it could be a 1-2, or it could be you know, a wave 4 correction. It could be anything, but you know that there's continuation of the trend, and in this case the trend is up. So the retracement beneath the 618, you know that the continuation is going to be in the initial trend of the market. Okay, so like overreaction central. The one thing I'm looking at as a trader is that retracement, right? As long as that retracement stops in its tracks at support or at mathematical support, so like at the 618, I don't care. And if I had my stops anywhere above the 618, that's my fault, right? That's like, it's called the golden ratio. Why the hell do you think it's called the golden ratio? And you're going to put your stops and your liquidations above the 0618? Like, that's rule number 1, 2, and 3. Like, if you're long right here, your stops and your liquidation points are hidden below the 0618, right? That's common sense. But I mean, a lot of people don't. One, they don't think charting is actually a thing. A lot of people think it's kind of like a bullshit pseudoscience. Okay, so they don't do it, and then they're gambling essentially. A lot of people are gambling. This is why it's not that hard to beat this market, because a lot of people are gambling, and they're going to continue to gamble. Because first you gotta convince them, if you're into doing that charting actually exists and it's a thing, and then secondly they have to learn how to do it, right? So if you know how to do it, you not only believe charting is a thing. It's not just because you believe it like some dogma, because you do it every day and you see the patterns every day, you've proven it to yourself, and then you've actually taken the time to actually practice it and learn about it. I mean, you're gonna destroy the market, right? It's not a question of if, it's when you're going to win, like outsized returns, right? So like I said, like the market's already really bullish. If you're paying attention, this big move that I've been talking about, right? People are like, Dean, you've been talking about this big move forever. It's true. Look, okay, Arweave, OKB. What else? This is in the top 100, but you have top 100 coins putting in 40-50% moves. What do you think is happening next? Do you think this is a bear market still and we're going down? People keep saying the bear market. Let them say it. Those are the people that are going to be investing, towards the top, if not towards the middle of the market, Mask, I don't know what this is. This is top 200, top 300. But just pay attention. Band up 132%. Okay, this is a top 300 coin. 132%. Right? Is that bearish? Where are the big, dumps? Because, people like Garrett Soloway taking people's money, for trading advice, and, invited on every show as experts. They've been telling you that Bitcoin's going down to $4,000, $5,000, $9,000 or whatever. Okay, how's that work? Something goes up 100+%. Dogecoin 100+% in a week. Band 131% in a day. How's it work that now Bitcoin's supposed to go to $6,000? So these are just supposed to turn around and crash? Like, make it make sense. Gitcoin, this is top 400, up 60%. Litentry up 30%. Okay, so that's top 400. Like, you gotta use your. I mean, this is it's nobody else's fault. If you give people like Soloway your money for trading advice, that's on you. That's not on him. He has every right to take people's money, if they want to give it to him. Okay, he has every right. He's doing his best, I'm sure, with what he does. And, his advice, you have every right, or he has every right to give it. And, he's not telling you to do it. But if you take it and you believe, people who are telling you that this is a bear market and the next big move is down, and that we might hit 22.5 or 25K at most in Bitcoin, and then everything's going to crash down, and you believe that, and you trade accordingly, you have to take responsibility. And that's the beauty of crypto. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, because gone are the days where you just give somebody your money at a trading firm, like a Fidelity or whatever, and say, just invest my money. You have to learn. This is why channels like mine are going to be increasingly popular. Because people are going to realize, if you want to beat inflation, it's not enough to know what to invest in. You have to know how to invest in it. It's not enough to know what to invest in. You have to know how to invest in it. Yeah, you can make money if you invest on a high time frame, on you just put some money in on spot and just wait for some years, maybe 4, 5 years, 6 years, depending on when you invest. and you may make some money. But, you know, it's still quite challenging because you don't know when to take your money out if you're chart illiterate. But if you stop having to listen to people and learn for yourselves, right? So this is why I'm all about education. Like, what I hope and wish is you all, especially the people that are watching this, you stop asking me for different charts and start asking me questions about how. Hey, Dean, I'm reading this wave. What do you think about that? I'm reading this as a complex wave 4 correction. Is it? Or is this a viable wave 2 correction? Like, this is what I hope it gets to, because that's really where you free yourself. That's really where you make your money. Not listening to people, including myself. You learn how to chart for yourselves. This is the key. You know? And that's why I go over my process. I'm not even talking about how to trade. That's another topic, right? I learned how to read way before I learned how to trade. And I was a decent chartist. I wasn't great, but I was decent. And I got lucky sometimes trading, but I didn't know shit about trading. And then I learned how to trade by losing a bunch of money. Well, it was a bunch for me. And by going through the process of learning how to trade. Trading spot, trading leverage, trading margin, trading on different exchanges, adding to your margin, right? Playing defense. How do you do that? I didn't know any about that. Like, in the beginning, it was so bad, I opened a trade and I thought, I open a trade and that's it. I can't do anything about it. If the price starts to go against me, there's no way I could affect or change that trade, change the complexion of that trade to give myself a better chance. I didn't even know it was possible to add to your margin. Most people don't even know what that is. Do you understand? Like, there are levels to this. Educate yourselves. I can't say it enough. If you're going to win, you have to educate yourselves, or else you're not giving yourself a fighting chance. All right, top 600. You know, just look at the bubbles. The bubbles don't lie. A bunch of movers. This is a bull market. We've been out of the bear market for a bit now. Especially, wow, Dodo's a top 700? Wow, okay. I didn't know it was that high or low market cap. That's going to be a big money maker for me. That it's in the top 700 and I put a decent amount in it. All right. All right, so we talked about why the market's moving. Okay, Bitcoin's great, and you know we use the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency market at large. But given that it is alt season, you know you're going to get the biggest answers, or the first answers. The first movers are going to be altcoins. That's what I mean. Okay. I think this is coming down a little. Let's just start backwards, whatever. I think this is gonna do something like this before continuing. This is dent, okay? That's what I see right here. Whoops. Yeah. So I see a quick wick down like this before continuation. Let's do Bitcoin Cash. We already did Bitcoin Cash, didn't we? Oh no, not on the small time frame. Okay, this is quite clearly a corrective wave, a 3-wave move. And then this, I think, is your counter correction. And I think you got I think you got a 5-3-5 situation. Yeah, I think I already said this, right? I think this is a zigzag, because I see 5 waves here. Almost, it's very clear. I see 5 waves here, and you're coming down with a 3-wave move. You might continue to do some A/B basing in this region, but eventually you're gonna put in your impulse. So yeah, that's what I think is going on with Bitcoin Cash on the small time frame. XRP's been, and I know this because this is literally the last of my coins that I'm waiting, the last of my high leverage, low amount of money, high leverage coins that I'm waiting to pop. Everything else is like, it's well in the money. Let me just have a look and see if I'm not making that up. Yeah, so I have one that's up 400%. My algo trade. Remember, I put that algo trade in with you all. Have I made some modifications to it? Yes. Like after I put it in I put in the trade during the live stream. I had to restructure the trade. What does that mean? I had to add to the margin to reduce my risk and to move my liquidation price and stop price down. Okay, so I did that a little bit. I added a little money to my margin. I did that, but now that trade is currently up 400%. Okay, and a few $1,000s is great, but I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it because we're at the bottom of a bear market or bottom of a bull market, whatever you want to say. So this is where trading in the high time frames, you use that understanding, and you don't get in your own way. You just leave. You just let it play. Okay? My XRP trade is what I'm still waiting to move. But the dent trade's up 28%. I put that in the other day. I think I put it in after a live stream. I didn't put it in live. And then my Bitcoin trade that I talked about, my 85X is up 300%. Okay? And that I did have to restructure a few times, but then so cool thing about margin that I don't think many people know is you can add to the margin of a perpetual trade, a futures trade, a futures perpetual trade. You can add to the margin, and then you can remove from the margin. So if I add a bunch of margin to protect my trade or play defense or to reduce my liquidation point, later when that trade gets into profit, I can move up my stops and then remove that margin. So do you understand how you can restructure trades and you can put money in and take money out, and it's not necessarily adding to the position? So I didn't know any of this when I first started trading. I guarantee you I didn't know any of this. I learned it through trial and error and just messing around. A lot of people trade and they don't know they don't understand how to use the actual exchange and the tools. That's part of trading. You have to understand the tools that you're using. Or else it's not easy. A good example, and last thing I'll say, I forget what this exchange, there's an exchange, it's called, what's the name of it? I forget the name of it. Oh, fuck, what's the name? You can trade gold on it and foreign, and a lot of foreign exchanges. The name of the exchange escapes me at present, but it was so and this is after I learned how to use other exchanges. It's so confusing. I used money, I used promotional money to trade on it, and I lost the trade. I didn't even know how I lost the trade because I couldn't figure out how to use the exchange, the app. It was just so confusing. It was so different than the other exchanges I had been using. And as a result, I didn't know how to trade on that exchange. I could read the chart. I could, I didn't know how to trade on that exchange. If the name comes, I'll talk about it. But it's just you have to learn how to use the exchange. That's part of the tools of trading. Anyway, yeah, so XRP, I'm waiting for it to get to that yellow line before I put my stops into profit, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I do believe that we're respecting that 618 right here of this rising wedge, and that's going to remain a base, right? So that's almost exactly where we tagged in this move right here. So I think it's up from here. It's just, it's just been dilly-dallying. It's been hanging out. And I can't tell you exactly what this is. I mean, I have a few hunches. Let me try again. Let me see if I can't figure this out. The best I can do is that this is a leading diagonal, but it's a weird leading diagonal. I don't like it. Okay, I got it. It has to start here. If it doesn't start here, it has to start here. And if it doesn't start here, then wave 3 is too short. And it's going to be the shortest wave. This has to be... Okay, if it starts here, then that's 5, 3, 5, 3. A complex wave 4 correction. Essentially, it's in a complex wave 4 correction. Bitcoin's in a complex wave 4 correction on the way up. A lot of assets are on the complex wave 4 correction on the way up. Few are on a complex, and the DXY is complex. Oh, no, I thought it was. But, yeah, I think that is it's a tough read. I'm not, 100% married to it, but I think this is a pivot right here. Okay? And then your impulse starts over here. So I would measure this leading diagonal from here. But this is a tough read. This is a tough fucking read. And here, you tag the 786. It might even be easier to say this is a pivot and this is corrective. But yeah, this is tough. I've I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what the hell this is. I have no idea what this is. Let me zoom out for a second. Hold up. Let me add MB's reads to the to the watch list so I don't forget. BTC, Litecoin, and Vantage. Vantage, and then he said Litecoin, ETH. MB's let's see. Yeah, oh yeah, it takes passion. I mean, it can pay off, and when it does pay off, it'll pay off in life-changing ways. So Maurice says that's why now I stick to buy and hold. Very complex trading and takes passion. Yeah, trading is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But obviously, one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. But I'm telling you, it's it was hard to the point where there were nights, days where I was curled up in a fetal position, questioning my life choices. And I'm not even joking. That's not an exaggeration. I'm not being dramatic. I was literally in a fetal position. What the fuck am I doing with my life? And I don't want to live anymore. Some of those losses hurt, especially when you're down bad and you're I'm just losing, I'm hemorrhaging money. Litecoin ETH. Okay, let me just add this real quick. Litecoin ETH. What do you say it was? Litecoin ETH on Binance. But yeah, eventually, you break through, it's darkest before the dawn, the tunnel, you know, it's kind of like that meme where you're digging in the tunnel and you know, some people quit. And I literally told myself, I'm not going to quit. I don't give a damn. I'm going to do this or die trying. And I'm going to find ways to do it smarter. So there are certain times I'm like, I'm not trading anymore. I'm not leverage trading anymore. I stopped leverage trading. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to leverage trade anymore for a while. And I only spot traded. And then I'm like, ooh, I really like these reads. Let me get a little bit back into leverage trading. And that's how I reintroduced myself into leverage trading. But it is a process, and it's completely personal. The way I trade may be the worst thing in the world for somebody else, but it happens to work for me, and it's something that I developed over time for my comfort and for my benefit, right? So I look up and down in the exchanges that I hold crypto, and, you know, I'm up. And it's been, you know, these trades have been open for some for weeks, some for months. And I've just been patiently waiting for these moves to happen. But, you know, some of them are up already, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. And I have no intention of touching them, right? My Dogecoin, for instance, it's up 500%. And you know that I'm just waiting for months, and that's a big trade, you know. That's a big trade, you know, and I've got a bunch of such trades that are up a few 100%, because over this time, over these months, these weeks, just saying, okay, this is the bottom of the market, this is a consolidation reversal channel. I've actually been trading and managing the positions, doing slowly. But like, you know, because I'm a trader, because that's what I do, there's a relatively high amount of risk. I have a very small spot portfolio as opposed to my leverage portfolio. But I have a very small spot portfolio. I have let's see. I'm not going to say how much, but a few tens of thousands. Let's say I have 5 figures in low leverage longs. Okay, low leverage. That means, like, you know, anywhere from 3 to 5x. You know, that's low leverage to me. 3 to 5x longs. Okay, at the bottom of this market, and a lot of those are doing really well. Some of them are down, but I don't really care because they're real safe, and in a day they'll go into the green. But most of them are, you know, have already started to go, and they're up a decent amount. And then I have a small portfolio of a little bit of money, high ass leverage. That means 20 to 85x leverage. And you know, I have 5 figures in that, you know, and that portfolio, I believe, will probably yield about the same as, you know, the low leverage, you know, a decent amount of money, low leverage portfolio. And then, you know, I got the spot portfolio against all odds. If everything goes to shit, then I still got exposure, and I've mitigated my risk. So I've got a bit of everything going, and that's comfortable for me. I can sleep at night. It's very important. You know, I don't wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats. This is very important. I'm saying this because I lived it. I lived not being able to sleep, not being able to eat because, you know, having to, you know, getting short with my son because, you know, work was tough. It's tough, man. It was one of the toughest things. And unless you're able and willing to dedicate yourself to really getting it, the best thing, like Maurice said, is just buy, spot, sleep well at night, and get comfortable waiting. You won't have to wait that long, but you just have to wait. And then you have to fight your greed, because you're like, oh shit, I could just 2x or 3x this, and that's, you know, it's like a free trade. But still, even if 2x or 3x, you still kind of have to know what you're doing. You know, you can't do that blind. That's why, you know, people that know how to trade, you know, They either pay themselves really well because they get a lot of money trading, or they take a lot of money from other people to do it. But if you're really good at it, you don't need to take any money from people to trade for them, and you're actually against trading for people, because what's the point? It's just too much stress and too much risk. You know, I'll only trade for like my mother, and you know, my son's mother. That's probably it. Otherwise, I'm just trading for myself. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Guys, I know this, and this is like a tough thing. But I think, you know, communities like these where, you know, people might be trading and thinking about trading, like it's kind of like a support group too, because this shit is not easy. Okay, Dent, I think, did we look at this? Oh, yeah, we already looked at that. I already talked about that. I talked about XRP, what I thought it was doing. I told you guys I had no idea. I said, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I was zooming out, trying to figure out what may be going on. Okay, yeah, on the high time frame, I'm really comfortable with the fact that this is... Okay, that was bad. This is one big inverse head and shoulders, okay? High time frame. So, you know, when in doubt, do your pattern analysis. There's no shame in doing pattern analysis on a high time frame. You know, some traders who don't have the benefit of making use of GAN or Elliott wave theory or something that really takes you down to the nitty gritty and gives you good insight without using indicators, right? Just reading price action. That's all they have. And some people in that space do very well just with pattern analysis, even when they don't have any context. But, you know, that aside, you broke this resistance. Now you're retesting it. This is why I'm very comfortable with this being a thing. Now, on the high time frames, okay, I just kind of drew that by accident, but that may be a good read on what's going on, okay? You might be putting in a triangle. It might be... There's two types of triangles. There's ascending and descending. Or is there three? Ascending, descending, symmetrical, I think, right? Yeah, ascending, descending, and symmetrical. Let's check. Always got to check. This is how you get better, guys. Always got to check. Make sure your theory is on point. Let's just check this real quick. So triangles. Okay, I don't know what the hell I just typed. I think there are 2 or 3 types. I'd say I want to guess 3 types. Okay, 3 types. Yep. So you have your contracting, barrier, and expanding. So yeah, essentially it's ascending, descending, and symmetrical. But I think this designation it's even better. Contracting, barrier, right? So contracting is basically your symmetrical, right? Your barrier is barrier up or barrier down, and then expanding. Okay, so those are the 3 types of triangles. So let's just look at it in that way. contracting. So I would say, if we're looking at this as a triangle, because this has been a tough read, I would say it's a barrier, right? It's a contracting. Oh no. Or is it a contracting? Is this it? I don't know. This is a tough read. I like that just because trying to make sense, and I've been trying to make sense of this, just, looking at it as some simple A/B basing and stuff like that. I think this is, I think it's very clear. 3 waves up, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 3 waves down. So this is A, B, C, and then D, E. I like that. I think that makes most sense. It is a contracting triangle. That's my favorite read on what's going on with XRP. Contracting triangle. Okay? Barrier, again, would be like if this was straight and then this came all the way down here. But this is not what we've seen. Or barrier would be something like this, right? But that's clearly not what's happening. And it's clearly not an expanding triangle. So I think what you're getting is a bull flag. This is the flagpole. This is the pennant. And then the breakout for XRP is going to be breaking this right here. What do you guys think about that? Okay. And again, I love doing these live streams because this is where I come up with my best ideas. Not on the toilet, not in the shower. It's live. That's why I keep doing the show. Honestly, like I don't have anything from YouTube. I don't plan on monetizing my channel. I don't care. Like I can't even think of making as much money or anywhere close to as much doing YouTube as I do just trading, and it's not for the clout. It's not for the follow. I literally don't care. I'd rather be rich and anonymous, to be honest with you, than just like rich and famous, or I'm not looking for fame, not at all, not at all. But what I do want to do is I learned a lot from other people sharing their work. I learned through books, obviously, as you guys know, but I learned a lot through watching other traders trade and talk about trading and talk about charting and analyzing markets. And I feel like, why would I just be, greedy and I could just as easily, turn off the video, turn off the mic and do all of this work. But why wouldn't I just share it? I just feel like sharing it is just so much cooler. Because if I'm able to change my life and change my family's lives and change, my family's life for generations, not just this life, but for generations in terms of, financial well-being, why can't somebody else, right? If you're dedicated, if you care, and you put the work in, and you're using, my work as kind of a resource, right? It's not a book. I haven't written any books on trading. I have books on other shit. But, why can't you just use this and get better and then one day be really, really good at trading and reading markets, you know? There's no reason why not. That's why I do it. This is why I do it. And so when I consistently come up with the best ideas on stream, sometimes I'm like, why is that? And then I'm like, I think I know. It's kind of like the universe encouraging me. Keep sharing, you know? It's like giving it away, but it's not free, you know? It's not free, because even to understand what I'm talking about, you got to put in some work. And most people aren't willing to do it. So to even understand what I'm talking about, because I've always told, like, you know, my ex, why don't you watch what I do, so you understand and you're able to also, like, you know where your investments are going and all that stuff. She's like, I don't understand any of that stuff. It's like you're speaking a foreign language, and that's fine. But most people, they're interested in the gains, but they're not interested in knowing how to do it. You know what I mean? And even if you're spot trading, I'll say, even if you're spot trading, you're not leverage trading. So you don't need to go on the smaller time frames. You don't need to snipe entries or exits. Even if you're spot trading, how many people have you heard say, yeah, and then, you know, 2008 happened and I lost all my money. You know, the stock market crashed. I lost all my money. How many people have you heard say that? It's because none of those people are chart literate. It's like, if you were chart literate, you knew anything about anything, reading a chart, that can't happen to you. That cannot happen to you. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's, people think it's only for traders, only for degenerates, only for people wanting to go 85, 100x. Like, this trading shit and learning how to read a chart, it's for anybody looking to be serious about investing their money in any market. If not, you're doing it blind. You're completely doing it blind, and you might as well just be gambling, right? Because how the hell do you know when to take your money out of the market or when to put your money in the market? You have no idea. So it's yeah, that's my take on that. Marie says, what's the level to look at for a breakout on BTC? By the way, random, but check out Dan Dow Trading. He's pretty dope on them waves. Yeah. I know Dan. I follow Dan. I disagreed with him. I haven't seen his recent work, but I disagree. He was one of those people saying we're going up and then down. He is one of the few people that I may disagree with on his conclusions, but his methods, by and large, his theory is, I would say, I haven't seen anybody with theoretically that's as strong as me, as probably Dan. Dan is so well read in Elliott waves. There's like one or two things that he says I'm like, but we've talked. I really appreciate his work, and I appreciate his understanding of the science, if you will, or the, you know, Elliott wave theory, the theory. I really do. But yeah, I definitely follow Dan. But yeah, we have different conclusions. But again, I always say, if you really know good trading, you're not necessarily looking for a conclusion. You're looking for the method. Like, you want to see good quality analysis. Good quality analysis doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Good quality analysis is good quality analysis. And yeah, he has good quality analysis. I do think Dan, I would say, if I had to levy a criticism, a lot of times I would say, dude, way too complex. Like, he has so many skills and so much understanding, so much knowledge. A lot of times his reads, I think, in my estimation, my humble opinion, are more complicated than they need to be. You know? They're more complicated than they need to be. Not always, but sometimes. He's like, looking at it, I'm like, damn, but that's quite simple. Let's just look at this. And he's like, nah, I think it's this. And he does research like me. Like, you know, like I do A/B basing. His big things are double zigzags. So he looks a lot about double zigzags, and he goes through different markets, and he catalogs them and all that stuff. But yeah, to get to a certain level, I think in charting and trading, like you take it personally and you really look at it. And yeah, whenever I love hearing Dan talk about waves, because yeah, he definitely knows his shit. He knows his shit. So the level for breakout for Bitcoin, like we said, here, is right here. I mean, like, we're at the level, Maurice. We're at the level. Whoops. Like, this is the level that we're looking at. This is the level we've been at. We went wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. This triangle, it's not a triangle. It's a double 3. So it's a DXY right here that we've been in. This is the level that we're looking to bounce off of, right? So this was support once, support twice, support 3 times. We're looking to bounce off here. Okay, that's the level. So we're at it. We're at the level. It's taking a long time because it's a complex correction, but we're at the level. And this also coincides with this top right here. So just regular pattern analysis. Let's say you know nothing about Elliott waves. You should be able to just look at this price action, see that you broke resistance, and then you're retesting it as support, and you're buying support, right? A lot of times, this stuff is the simplest thing, or the most obvious thing, and the most simple thing is more likely than not the correct thing. Occam's razor. It's no need to overcomplicate things. You know nothing about Elliott wave theory. You look and you see a pattern, break of support or break of resistance, right? A retest of that break and continuation. That's the read. Okay? The Elliott wave gives you a little more confidence. It gives you a little bit more insight as to how and why and all that stuff. But essentially, that's just a basic read of support and resistance. So yeah, we're at that support level that we're looking to go up from. Where were we? Okay, so we finally got a read we liked on XRP. At least I like it. Okay, I don't know about you guys. Let's put that in right here. I like that. This is the first one I got that I'm like, okay. Because up until now, and I'm in this trade, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm in it as a hunch, and I'm like, I like this level, so I got in, okay. But I was ready to, I've been monitoring it and all that stuff. Okay, I see. This is C. I really like this read right here. Okay, and I think what you're getting here, or what you've gotten since the 30th of October, is a series of AB basing in the apex, in the tip of the triangle. Okay, so yeah, this is not, I don't think this is important. I think if you zoom out, this makes sense. I like this. This is the simplest read and the most sensible read of XRP. So XRP is close, but once it breaks 47 cents, it's gone. It's gone. Telcoin. Did I already talk about Telcoin? I talked about Telcoin yesterday. I think it comes down a little bit over here before continuing. Okay. And this is one trade I want to get in. I sold this, and this was a spot trade. It's way too volatile to leverage trade or margin trade. Maybe margin trade, but leverage trade, yeah. So I bought, and then it went up. I sold a little bit because I needed to add to my margin. I didn't want to unload more fiat. I added to a margin of some other trades that I needed to protect. And I'm going to take that margin out, kind of like what I explained earlier in the stream. Once those trades get into profit, I can move my stops up take the margin back out and I'm going to put it back into Telcoin. So essentially, if you know what you're doing, instead of like keeping your money in the bank, if you know what you're doing, big if, right? I could essentially run a small savings account on spot exchanges. It's very little risk, and the yield is nuts. Very little risk, right? At the bottom of a market, no leverage, no margin, whatever. You can never get stopped out or anything like that or liquidated. But instead of leaving my money in the bank, I'm just gonna leave it, in something like Telcoin, which I see is in. I like the read here. I was kind of back and forth on this, but I like this read right here. Do I though? Yeah. Okay, I think this is the read. Okay, and 5, I don't know where it's going, but actually, yeah, shit. I think 5 has to be regular, right? Because if it's an extended 3, this is a tough one. I don't know. Reason I don't know is there's no clear wave 3 level. Okay. If I take this to be wave 2 down here, there's no like clear wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. Okay, wait a second. There is. Maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4. A leading diagonal here. Okay. Once again, Dean on the stream is really like another level of trader. Like on stream, I should do everything on stream. Like, I don't know what it is, but on stream, I'm fucking world class. Alright, this is a leading diagonal. Okay? And why am I really confident in that is because if I break down this intermediate count right here, this is clearly a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situation. So this is, I'm confident in saying that these are my 5 waves down up, these are my 3 waves down, and I had a running flat here. Okay, one day up. Let's see. One day down. If it's a running flat. Okay, so yeah, 1, 2, 3, right there. Yeah, it's got to be a running flat. Okay, that works in terms of time and in terms of price. It works. But again, you have your running, you have your leading diagonal, which is something you see more often than not. Okay, and simple support and resistance. You got this level of resistance that you broke, you retested. So that is a nice read in terms of support, where you would make a great entry, a great buy into the market right there at that support level. How high does 5 go? Once again, in a leading diagonal, our minimum extension is the 1618, right, of waves 1 through 3, retracement of wave 4. So that's a minimum, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stop there. If we zoom out, won't be surprised if we go all the way up to this level right here. And Telcoin gives you a 140, 150% move. Would not be surprised. Also wouldn't be surprised if that was in the 3382, which is what we've been seeing for extensions. Hey, what do you know? Do you see that? Can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. Guys, if you've been following the work, you know that there's consistencies in the market, right? That 3382 for wave extension 5 has been something we've been seeing over and over and over again. Would not be surprised if this was the move that we got in Telcoin. Got 150% move from this leading diagonal. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. Now question is, you know, this wave 4 is almost finished, I believe, right? I like this read right here. This is a WX. I think you get one more leg down, okay? And actually, much like what we've been seeing, I won't be surprised if you get a running flat, right? So a WXY that comes a little short here, you see? Comes a little short and then runs into your extension. So that's what I'm looking at for Telcoin. I think we're in that complex wave 4, right? Kind of like what you're seeing in Bitcoin. But don't be surprised if you just look up and Telcoin is up 100%, right? Like these moves are coming. They're already here. There's certain assets like you see Matic, you know, like you know, the other ones that we saw in crypto bubbles. They've already moved. I think Matic, has Matic moved? I thought it moved. Yeah, it moved a bit yesterday, right? It's starting. It's starting. Okay, it's starting. So yeah, this is it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So yeah, my big plan, I'm gonna wait until this kind of zeroes out, kind of gets down here with this ending diagonal, or what I think is going to be an ending diagonal, and then put the rest of my margin back in and let it ride. That's my savings, my short-term savings, right? But again, this is how you trade. It's not like, oh, I made a trade once, you know, or you trade all in at once. Like, it's hard to build positions in a short amount of time. Like when people are like, oh, I'm gonna wait. Like, you know, when you're working at a hedge fund or you're trading for a hedge fund or whatever, and not to say that they know what they're doing necessarily, but a lot of times they're working with such large amounts of money, they have to invest piecemeal, right? They have to ladder into positions. Even a smaller trader, a retail trader, has to do the same if they're conscientious, because it's not going to be one day, one moment where everything is operating at the same speed, or you know, everything's not moving at the same time. So it's literally taken me months to gather these positions, to accumulate these positions, and now when things start moving, generally speaking, I will be ready. But that preparation took some time. You guys know that because, you know, a lot of you show up every day. You know, that's part of the preparation too. Just reading the market day in and day out and preparing for it. Yeah, algo's already on its way, and I think that, you know, this wave 5 is just again, you have a leading diagonal, so this wave 5 very easily can be much more extended. You know, that was just kind of a symbolic thing, but it's going much higher in my estimation. Yeah. Dodo we may have already looked at. I think it's quite clear that this is a flat correction like this. Looks like a wave. Is that wave 4 or wave 2? I don't know. That looks like a wave 2 to me. That looks like a wave 2. Yeah. That looks like wave 2 that's happening in Dodo right now. And if it is indeed a wave 2, we should be able to measure it in time. So we should be able to see how long it takes. So that took 20 hours to go up. And it's taken, thus far, 11 hours. 11 hours. So I think Dodo starts moving up again at midnight for wave 3. Okay. But yeah, that's the analysis for Dodo. Dogecoin, you know, then see, this is a great example of people saying, oh man, Dogecoin's gone up like 100% in like a week or less, you know, sell it. Not understanding the macro trend. Like, if you're only a short-term trader, like, let me give you an example, and there's no disrespect, like a Frankie Candles, right, on BitBoy Crypto, only trading short-term, only talking about short-term. It's so myopic, it's dangerous. Like, who cares about making 50-60% when you should be looking at making 6,000%, right? Like, this asset is clearly at the bottom of the market if you zoom out enough, right, on the daily or 4-hourly time frame. So why the hell would you nickel and dime yourself after a move like this? Clearly an intra-wave correction. Clearly, right? I mean, that's just basic. Trend, correction, trend, right? Even if that correction ends up doing this. And I've said this before, I think Dogecoin is likely to retest this before continuing. But what's happening right here? What do you guys see? 3 waves? 3 waves? Now this is your impulsive wave, all right? So you have what you could say is a complex correction, a W, X, Y. What does this Y look like? Once again, you're seeing the signs of a bottom, signs of the bullishness of the bottom, right? Why is asset after asset printing these running flat corrections? You have to understand what it means. When you're printing a running flat, you're bullish, but you're bullish for a reason. You're bullish because there's so many orders, so much buying pressure that you can't retrace by too much, because the more you go down, there's more price, there's more buys pushing it up. There's too much buying pressure. That's why you're getting, I wouldn't be surprised if you never retested the top of this channel and you just did something like this. Even though we understand that you break resistance, you retest it as support, guess what? In a bull market or a bear market, sometimes you're not going to come back down to this region until you get into a macro bear market. And that's possible too, okay? It's possible. I don't think it's necessarily likely. And I'm interested to see what happens here. Because if we go into macro bear market, I don't think necessarily Dogecoin is coming down to these levels, because I think it's going to go much higher. But all I'm saying is that you may create some gaps, little gaps here and there. And, you know, that might just be what you do, right? But here I see, I think we're getting one more wave. Maybe that wave takes you down here, okay? But maybe it doesn't. Don't be surprised if it doesn't. That's all I'm saying. Because I would not be surprised if you got an ending diagonal in Dogecoin, and maybe the ensuing consolidation reversal pattern takes you a little lower, maybe, okay? But yeah, that's what's happening with Dogecoin. I don't think it's ready to run yet, but that's just there's a reason you enter the trade in a bull market and you don't mess with it, because these retracements can be shallow, much more shallow than you ever imagined. That's what characterizes a bull market, right? Shallow retracements, intra-wave retracements, but much more impulse to the upside than a shallow retracement. So that's why, it's up. It can do whatever it wants. It could put in a, what would you call this? We just saw this. So you have barrier, you have expanding and contracting. It would be contracting triangle, or maybe it's some, type of a double 3 WXY. Doesn't matter. All you know is that let it do its little correction and then let it continue to go up. Before you know it, it's going to continue to go up. People who think they're really cute and want to short a bull market, they want to short this. You have people with a lot of followers trying to, again, short these markets. It doesn't even make sense. Like, if you think about it, and, they have lots of followers. I mean, lots of followers. They're shorting. And maybe, you get a little bit, but the risk reward is crazy. It's too risky and very little reward. You just put this in. What do you think you're going to get by a little bit of downwards price action? You bet. I mean, anyway, I think the name of the game is you get in, you let it ride. Every time you get intra-wave corrections, you just leave it alone, okay? Discipline enough to leave it alone and recognize the higher time frame trend, okay? Litecoin. I think Litecoin's putting in a, let's see. So this was wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. Do you see that triangle? Only get triangles in wave 4. That is definition of a contracting triangle in wave 4. That is a leading diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think what you're seeing in Litecoin now is a leading diagonal at the end of wave 3. This is wave 4. You're going to get an extended wave 5. Okay, so you see you have these intra-wave corrections that, if you don't know how to read these markets, can be very, very tricky. This is an ending diagonal, but it's not an ending diagonal for wave 5. And I know for a fact, because I've been on the wrong side of these trades. I learned how to read markets, and I saw ending diagonals, and I'm like, ooh, ending diagonals only happen in wave 5. But the nuance there is wave 5 can be a wave 5 of your primary wave 3. It doesn't necessarily mean your primary wave 5, meaning the end of the trend, But a beginner, novice trader would think, I see an ending diagonal or something like that, then I'm thinking that this is going to come down, right? It may very well, but it's also possible that this come and do something like this and then break up. Okay, so that's what I see Litecoin doing. Seeing it put something like this and then breaking up. So be very careful trying to be cute and short a bull market, which we're in right now. But obviously most people aren't going to say or recognize. We're just at the beginning of it for a lot of assets. So in all fairness, it's at the bottom if you see it. Look, Cadena, for instance, is a good example of that. You are literally at the bottom of the bear market. This is the 170-day bottom. This is the bottom of the downtrend, the drawdown, and 170 days sideways for consolidation reversal. You're literally at the bottom there. You couldn't get any lower. So for me, for instance, if I wanted to trade this, you can literally, if you were to trade Cadena today, and long it, not financial advice, you would literally have bought the bottom to a few pennies. And say, yeah, I bought the bottom and then I sold the top. And people would be like, you're lying. And then you'd be like, no, I had 170 days to buy the bottom. And actually, the absolute bottom, I had about 22 days. Again, you have longer than you think. People are really impatient right now. But then when we go higher, they're like, oh man, I wish I had invested in this. And I wish I had invested in that. It's like, you had time. Had you been able to read the market, you had time. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, Ravane. Good, we're in a higher time frame. Yeah, this is bull market hasn't started yet in earnest for a lot of these assets, but you can see the strong bullish divergence here. Right? Very strong bullish divergence. Oops. Yeah. Strong bullish divergence. So, you know, don't be surprised when you get that pop. Zilica's already started right here with this A, B, you know, you already started with this move up right here. Let's go down on the 4-hourly. I think what you're going to get is a quick move down before another move up. VRA, oh yeah, it's been in this. This, I think, is an example of a contracting triangle. Looks ugly, but it is a is it a contracting triangle or a barrier triangle? Maybe it's a barrier triangle. I'd say it's a barrier triangle because of these 2 points. So A, B, C, D, E, I think. Something like that. Synthetics. I don't know. Double zigzag? That's one zigzag, I think. And that's an intermediate. And that's a double zigzag, I think. That's my best read. Or that's, I think, the simplest read. A double zigzag. And then you have a retracement, B wave. So, yeah. Reserve rights, you're still here, but you're forming a nice rounded bottom, okay? Eventually, you're going to break out of these 2 degrees of AB basing. ETH, I think this is very clear. 5 waves up, 3 waves down. I think we come down a little bit before going up. That's just my take. Actually, we can measure this. If this is indeed 5 waves up, 5 waves up from the 21st of October. Which means it took 7 days up. Almost 8 days up. Okay, so it's about a day and a half, 2.5 days, perhaps. Okay, here's a better read. I think this is a better read. Scratch that. Here's the better read. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, complex wave 4. Boom. Complex wave 4. We're in complex wave 4. That's a better read right there. And here's why. Take this as wave 1, retracement of wave 2. You see that wave 3 hits right where we think it should, between the 1618 and the 2. Then you start your complex wave 4 correction, and you put in your running flat right there, right? You put in your running flat, your consolidation or reversal pattern, and then you go up for your wave 5. It could be an extended wave 5 or regular wave 5, but you go up for your wave 5. It is right on the verge of breaking out. Okay. Same thing. Same thing. Almost exactly the same thing as ETH. This is a complex wave 4. A little deep, right? A little deep, so it's a leading diagonal, because you're way beyond the 382 Fibonacci retracement of wave 3. Same thing for Cardano. All of these are about to go into extended wave 5s. Okay. Now let's go for our friend MB into Bitcoin LTC. Let's go on the high time frames. So yeah, as we said last time we looked at this, you know, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin is losing against Litecoin and is going to lose against most altcoins. So this doesn't surprise us, right? We're literally, even in this chart that's a bit truncated, we don't have that much data. This is an impulse. This looks like a 3-wave move. And then it looks like you're about to make a new impulse, breaking this support right here. Okay, so it looks like, let's see if we got a minimum retracement in that 3-wave move. Come on. I would say just barely. And this is tricky, but okay. Here's what I'll say. Because we didn't touch the 382 minimum retracement of a wave 2 correction, would not be surprised if what you got from here was this. So in the short term, you have Bitcoin gaining against Litecoin in the short term, right? And that basically means Bitcoin's going to rip very soon. That basically means this chart is telling us it's likely that Bitcoin rips very soon. Why? Because this wave 2 correction hasn't retraced the minimum of the 382 Fibonacci retracement level that we know wave 2 has to satisfy. So we want something like this before resuming this trend. Okay, so that's my take on Bitcoin, Litecoin. But still, you know, one of the reasons I don't look at these, it doesn't matter. You know, this is not, you know, in the early days, we were using these charts because in order to buy, you know, anything that was in the altcoin space, you needed to trade your Bitcoin for it. So you were thinking, okay, should I hold Bitcoin or should I hold this altcoin? But now you can do better. You can just hold stablecoin. These charts were good when we didn't have stablecoins. And you really needed to know short time frame. If I want to be exposed and I need the crypto, right? And these days you can onboard from your bank account instantly, right? With like Simplex. I could buy, you know, I think anything under $1,000, I can instantly onboard from my bank account. And then sometimes with other exchanges, if it's a little more, maybe takes 10 to 15 minutes. But you know, in back in the day, if you wanted to you know, trade crypto, and you wanted to, you know, have enough crypto to make a trade or whatever, you needed to have that on exchange. And so you needed to figure out, in these moments, is it wise to hold Bitcoin or hold this other asset? And so I had a bunch of these charts: Bitcoin versus Litecoin, Litecoin versus Bitcoin, blah, 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 just to try and figure out what was going on and what would be most beneficial to hold, so I didn't lose value. But I mean, we don't really need to do that. If one day maybe MB, you want to explain why you use these charts, I'd be interested to hear, you know, your reasoning. I guess they're interesting. You know, we tried anything, and anything's just another data point for me. But I don't see the utility of these you know, Bitcoin charts. And I know there's certain people that still trade against Bitcoin. So instead of using USDT or USD, they'll trade against Bitcoin. And so they'll think in terms of sats. I think that's crazy. I don't know. It's just too much. It's very complicated. Okay, so we have the Litecoin ETH. So basically, this trade is denominated in ETH. And, you know, how is Litecoin faring against Ethereum? So this chart is historically, if you go on the weekly time frame, let's see something. I'm trying to get this magnet to catch. Okay, here we go. I don't know. So I think this is part of the same trend. I was just trying to measure to see if the 1618 was respected, because obviously I wanted to see that if this was an initial break of structure and this was a counter wave. But and I've said this before, if you don't respect the phi ratio, what's likely happened actually, I don't know. Maybe it still is. Maybe you still did respect the phi ratio, but it ended here. It's very possible. It's tough to read. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that I see a rounded bottom here. Okay, that tells me reversal is imminent. So Litecoin's going to gain against ETH significantly on the weekly chart. Litecoin's very bullish, and there's a reason I've been saying, like, you know, don't sleep on Litecoin, and Litecoin's going to be one of my biggest holdings. Is it one of my biggest holdings? Let's see. Let's see. My biggest holdings. It's not the biggest. Yeah, it's definitely one of my biggest holdings. And a lot of people are sleeping on it, but it's going to do really well. And I said it was going to do really well because of a high time frame analysis on Litecoin's chart. But if you look at this just high time frame, and I think a lot of these charts are best used on high time frame, whether this right here is your initial break of structure and this is your counter in some way, shape, or form, which okay, let me just say this. I think this is a continuation of this trend right here. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to go, if you haven't already started, you're going to put in a move here, and then you're going to come back. I think you're going to put in your AB basing down here. I think you're going to put in your AB basing because this just doesn't strike me as a B wave for the reasons of this not having respected, or yeah, this not having respected the 1618 of this. Okay. But again, I don't know, you know, if these charts are that useful. Because yeah, Litecoin may be beating ETH in the short term, but like you have a choice of not holding either or holding both, you know. I guess if you want to figure out which one is going to do better, really depends on when you got exposed, you know, how your trade is structured, when what your entry points are, what your exit is. Generally speaking, high time frame, you're probably going to get a move up, and Litecoin's going to beat ETH for a bit. Okay, you're probably going to get a move up, you know. If not to there, at least to here. That's wave 4 of the previous trend, I think. If you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think you come up here. You know, I think that's what you're doing now. That's my best read. You put in your initial break of structure. Maybe your B wave looks like that. I don't know what your B wave's gonna look like. Your B wave may as well be a zigzag, you know, part of a zigzag, and then you put in your secondary A wave like that. Who knows, you know? Because this is likely going to be a bunch of corrective waves. I think it's highly probable that in the short term, at least for the next few weeks, Litecoin beat Ethereum. That's as much as I can get with a high degree of confidence from this chart. MB, I hope that was helpful. Yeah, guys. It's been fun as always. Let's have a quick check into the DXY. Where's my DXY chart? Let's see what it's doing, and then, you know, we'll call it a stream. Yeah, it's hanging out. But it's not doing anything. It's consolidating, reversing. But you know that it's bearish. Why do you know it's bearish? Because it's in an advance where it's put in 1, 2, 3 waves. We know 3 waves. That means it's corrective. Okay? If it's put in 5 waves, okay, then you're like, ooh. If it's putting in something like this, you know, where it's making a 5-wave advance, you know, okay, you're in impulse. But here you're in correction. And then this is just the top of the correction. So just wait for that to finish up before that big breakdown. So yeah, our DXY is looking tricky, but it is looking bearish. Okay, what did I just do? Okay, there. Tricky but bearish. Okay, that's the read on the DIXIE. Yeah. Let's see. The question is, what's the next big breakout? You know, these altcoins are going to break out, you know, left and right. What's the next one? What's the next one that's going to break out? I don't know. Let's go on the general list. We haven't done that in a while. Ooh, yeah, bend. Look at that. Let's go on the daily. in one day, see, this is the power of preparation. If you want to, let's say you're like, ooh, I'm not investing in crypto until I see, that we're in a bull market. Guess what? You wait until these times, you'd be crazy to start investing unless you're doing spot, in which case you don't care. But if you're trying to leverage trade this, this is not where you want to go. This is way too volatile at this point, way too overbought. Okay? Now you got to wait for this to cool down and wait for this to retrace before you get back in. But in one day, this altcoin, 170 days, one day, broke that range. One day. I didn't even draw that properly. Right. This is the range. In one day, it broke bullish on the range that it had been in for 170 days. One day. That's the power of an impulsive market. So, instead of trying to be smarter than the average bear and wait for this or try to time exactly the point, like any investments at this point during these 170 days, you would have been quite happy with that breakout because you're not necessarily taking profit here, but you're sitting pretty for this bull market. This is why we work hard on market bottoms. This is why we work hard during accumulations and we show up and we do our best to accumulate positions for shit like this. Gitcoin. Here, this is beautiful. Gitcoin. Same thing. In one day. Boom. These 170 days. This is on the daily time frame, right? Look at this time frame. Daily time frame. 170 day consolidation reversal, and boom, in one day, it's over. These are a bunch of altcoins that have just started to move. Does that look bullish to you? Is that a bull market? You know what I mean? Guys, you gotta, use your own judgment, use your I don't know. Make up your own minds. A lot of people will tell you, big channels, big channels, lots of followers will tell you the bull market can't be now. You have to wait until the Bitcoin halving, 500 more days. In 500 days, I'll tell you what, not only will the bull market be over, but the next bear market might just be finishing up. And, they're telling you it's impossible that we have a bull market now because of macro conditions and the Fed and interest rates and all that stuff and the war and stuff like that. Use your make up your own minds. Figure it out for yourselves. Honestly, a lot of these people are chart illiterate. A lot of these people that are telling you that the bull market's not for 500 days, like the crypto case. Like, no disrespect. I watched these channels. There's a lot of good things that you can get from them, a general crypto information. But in terms of price speculation and trading, none of these people can read charts. Crypto Casing can't read a chart. BitBoy can't read a chart, right? And I don't think they pretend to, right? So if you think that there's something there with technical analysis, you got to do the work. You got to put in the work and the effort to learn how to be chart literate so that you can make decisions on when to buy and sell. Because they're not going to tell you when to buy and sell. At least they're not going to tell you well. I mean, Crypto Casey is going to tell you the dollar cost average, and that's fine. That's fine. But, she's been calling for lower prices. Garrett Solway, like, all the big accounts have been calling for lower prices, 9,000, 8,000, 4,000, 5,000. Okay. A few have been saying we're going up from here. And then a lot more have been saying, we can go up or we can go down, which is fine. But, you can't be completely clueless as a trader. You can be prepared for both scenarios, but to be completely clueless is you don't really know what the hell you're talking about. But yeah, it's looking nice and bullish. looking nice and bullish. That's a great move by Ben right there. Gitcoin as well. You know, be prepared to see more of this. Dominance, as we expected, should be going down. Okay, the fact that it's accumulating here, I think Bitcoin's going to run any moment now. This can break down from here. It probably is going to break down from here, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it's going to break down from here. I don't see it coming up from here. Yeah, I see it break down from here. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, let me say this. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin started running and dominance come up a bit before a breakdown. That's all I'm saying. I would not be surprised if that happened. This just doesn't seem like it's breaking down from here, to be honest. I think you're retesting up here before the big breakdown of dominance. So I think what's going to happen is Bitcoin's going to run temporarily. It's going to outdo pretty much everything else, but just for a few hours. It's going to have its time. It's going to have its time in the sun. Did I? Okay, I don't know where anything is here. Okay, yeah, so I mean, let's this is fun. This is the fun part. We're just on breakout watch. Breakout watch. So, yeah. Guys, enjoy the market. Enjoy your, reaping the fruits of your labors. I would not take any profits, but, not financial advice. You do what you want. A lot of people are shell-shocked and scared from, being in the market and not knowing that we were at the top of last market, and so they made a lot of money and they lost they lost it all, and so they're going to be taking money along the way, and that's fine too. But again, that fear comes from an inability to read the charts. If you know how to read the charts, you're not so scared. Okay, you're just working, you're just trading, working the markets. You recognize the macro bottom, and you're gonna let your positions ride for life-changing wealth. I hope everybody that's on here, everybody that's listening, get to that position. You change your life, you change your family's life, and you're able to do great things with it, and help people, because that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, making a bunch of money for yourself, you'll see it's not very rewarding. It's not that interesting. But making a lot of people and affecting positive change for yourself, your family, and your community, that's where it's all at. That's where it's all at. All right. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.